I think that's very true, because you've got to at least understand or empathize with those who you're asking to follow you. You know, and if you can't, if you've got no concept of what makes a good leader or why you've followed people in the past, then it'll be very hard for you. It'll be very hard for you to expect or ask people to follow you. So I think that's hugely important. And I mean, if I go back to Simon Sinek, I can't remember what the video was called that he was speaking about, but he mentioned leadership, and he was saying how actually there's roles for leaders that being a leader and being a follower can be very transient. That even within an organization, there'll be times where people right at the top of the organization, who tend to be the leaders, you would expect them to be the leaders or the managers, which I guess is a whole separate thing of management versus leadership. But they often will have followed other people, or they will have had to follow other people in order to get to that leadership position. But then equally, you've got people right at the entry level of a business or an organization who, on the outside looking in, you would say, oh yeah, they must be the followers. But actually, they have to lead certain aspects of their job, because they're not, they don't have the leader looking at them the whole time. They don't have the leader telling them exactly what they need to be doing the whole time.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Can we just answer this question before you? Sure. Can I be just a follower and still create impact? That's a very good question.
That's an excellent question.
Yeah. Can I be just a follower?
In short, absolutely. And that comes back to you're going to have a leader. I mean, it'd be interesting to know if there's a context to that, what sort of industry you're in. But I would say absolutely that as a leader will tell you the direction they want you to go, it's still very much for you to follow them and act on what they do. And it's not simply just agreeing to what they've asked you to do isn't necessarily following. And I think that probably links slightly to management versus leadership. But if you are buying into whatever your leader's asking you to do, and again, that probably comes down to excellent communication from them. But if they're asking you to do something and then you follow what they're doing and you do it in a very positive way, then absolutely you're following. You can definitely be making an impact to it. But that comes down to probably buying into whatever the leader's asking. What would be your thoughts?
Yeah, I think yeah, exactly like what you said. I've actually forgotten the question now. What was the question? It
was whether you can still make an impact. Whether you can still make an impact for the followers.
I think so, because if you've got lots of followers and they're all working together and supporting each other, and they have one goal they all want to achieve, and they're supporting each other, working together, I think you can create a huge impact. Whereas if they've decided to, for example, if they're not working together, they're arguing and they're, I don't know, not helping each other, then they probably wouldn't achieve their goal. So I think you can be very powerful if you're, team, like if you're working in a team. Yeah, I think it's about working together. And like you said, communicating, I think, is key, and respecting each other, listening to each other. Yeah, so I think, like they say, a drop in the ocean. Everyone's important.
Yeah, I mean, actually, the key word that comes up for me a few times, and you've mentioned it multiple times, is the word team and teamwork. That actually, as a group of followers, you become a team. And it might be easier for me to put it into a sports context rather than a business one. But as a team, you're going to have your team captain, who's going to be your leader. You might have someone who's excellent at a certain thing they do within the team. But actually, all of you as followers have to be buying into that team through the communication, through the dedication, in order to be driving that team forward. And when it's your moment to shine, doing whatever it is within the team that you do, you're still following the team ethos. You're still following what the team wants to achieve. And it requires you to do your bit to enable that, enable the success.
Yeah, no, definitely. Do you think, but it's the leader's responsibility to create that positive environment, or do you think it's each and every one of us? Oh yes. Oh, that's funny that she just said this. Leaders have a larger responsibility.